This video is going to be very brief because I'm going to cover nonsense coding quickly and dispense with it quickly. Nonsense coding is a coding scheme that not only does not make sense, but I would warn against ever using it. Nonsense coding is the generation of alternative coding schemes, oftentimes done at random or arbitrarily, and the interpretation of the coefficients isn't really useful because you're not basing any of your comparisons on theory. Oftentimes you have weights that might not make any sense, and not only that, but it may produce some unexpected confounds in your model interpretation as well as your parameter estimation. So nonsense coding typically is defined as codes in your contrast matrix that while they don't sum to zero and they're non-redundant, they also may end up creating non-orthogonal contrasts. What does that mean? That means you will have predictors in your model that are collinear. So it doesn't make any sense to create predictors that are going to be collinear to begin with. You know, we've already talked about the pitfalls of multicollinearity. Well, certainly if we were going to create contrast from our nominal or categorical variables, we don't want to set ourselves up for failure. So nonsense coding is really a deviation from the coding schemes that we've talked about already. And that's really what I want to emphasize is nonsense coding is anything that you do that violates some of the principles that Cohen and Cohen talks about. So I highly recommend that you go over the dummy coding, effects coding, and the general case of contrast coding. Go over it carefully and use the built-in tools that we have to create a priori and theoretically meaningful comparisons. Okay, the next video, I'm going to talk about not just interpreting nonsense coding, but the summary of all coding schemes so that you have an appreciation for why nonsense coding is a bad idea. Stay tuned.